I had to put myself on there. What is up? Sorry for that momentary silence. We are live. It is 6:32 a.m. and it is what the heck is today? What, Tuesday? Wednesday? Golly, man. One of those weeks. One of those weeks. I'm pretty sure today is, let's see what my watch says. Oh my god. It's Tuesday. All right, good. Tuesday. Tuesday the 23rd, and the market opens in about an hour. So we're just here doing our pre-market show, and we're live on X and we're live on YouTube. So if you are watching this on YouTube, please hit the like, subscribe, notification bell. If you're on X, please like and follow. And we are going to take a look at Z Market today. I think we just had some news come out right now. Let's see. Let's see here. I'm going to roll up to the Forex Factory. And let's see, Tuesday. No, actually, there's not. I thought there was. I mean, there is something called the Richmond Manufacturing Index. It's a pretty low impact event. I think the only kind of scenario where the news might affect you is if you're trading the New Zealand the New Zealand New Zealand dollar. You might end up with some issues. Let me throw this up on the screen so everybody can see it here. Their CPI data comes out, but that's not till like the market. Look, the time this comes out is like 15 minutes before the market closes. And especially if you're trading Forex, well, especially if you're trading anything besides crypto, like really very few people are trading around that time. You know, it's the liquidity goes away, the spreads get blown out. And when the spreads get blown out, that means you're going to get really bad fills. And basically, what that means is that there's nobody there to buy or sell against you. Like it's like going to the store and the store is empty, and there's like 2-3 people to buy from at the swap meet, and their prices are all terrible. That's what that's like. If if you trade during low liquidity, it's like going to the swap meet, and it's trash. Or it's like sitting in the auction and the only price being bid is way above what you're interested in. It's like the guy just bid on like a freaking Suzuki Samurai for like $55,000. Like, nah, bro, nah. So yeah, no one trades at that time, so it should be okay. Tomorrow, actually, tomorrow, yeah, it's the European Open, the London Open. You're going to have a lot of European news. We talked about this yesterday, but if you're trading anything involved in the euro or the pound overnight in the US, or I'd say, European Open, London Open, you're going to see a lot of volatility. There's going to be a lot going on tomorrow. But today is like a pretty good day to trade. I took a little money out of gold this morning. It took me like about 10 minutes. I just yanked, a few $100 right out of this little move up on gold. Just real quick, just a little something. That's a little scalp, a little day trade. Gold right there just made its little move. Just pushed up from, I think I got in around 2025 and I yanked out around 2028. Just yank that money out. No big. Pay for a few steak dinners. So that being the case, though, go ahead and make requests if you all have like if you have questions, you have charts you want to see, anything like that, in the comment section, go ahead and make that request. I think if you're watching this on X, you should be able to make that request, by the way. That should be very possible for you. Okay. That's in a message. If I can. All right, so yeah, just send some chat requests. If you're over in the private group, you can always just send a request in the private group. But again, I'm not running this beginner live lab. This first 30 minutes is only on YouTube and X. So even our private members have to come onto YouTube in order to see that. In fact, speaking of which, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a link, link, and we're going to spread that over. So I think, I guess gold is up on the screen. We might as well take a good look at gold and see what's going on. I like gold. So I think it's gold is kind of stuck where it is for the moment. It's in this range between and this is going back, just a few days, between about 2019 and about 2040. So $2,019 and $2,040. It's just kind of bopping around in there because right now it wants to make a decision which way to go, up or down. There's a lot of upward pressure because of all of the geopolitical pressures. There's a lot going on there. So let me put this. I'm going to put our live link in the chat in the private room. Okay. Hopefully we get some more people coming in and joining because I know a lot of people probably forgot. I mean, we do have a few people watching and listening. So Truck Boy in the house. What's up? A Truck Boy. Truck Face. Wow, Truck Boy. You know what that means. Truck Face in the house. Howdy, howdy. Good to have you in. Truck Face, out there driving around, doing his thing, still trading, still doing his thing, if I'm not mistaken. So with gold, the way I would play this right now with gold, because it is bouncing around, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin next, folks. I know people want to see Bitcoin and Ethereum. We always look at those right now. It's kind of a hot ticket. There's two ways to look at this chart. You have kind of a range established like this, actually, if you look at the price action. And price may reject actually at about 2030 or so. It may poke up there and head down. These two, this on the left, this move up might be looked at as a deviation, right? So price going outside of the range up here on the left. So that could be looked at as deviation. And then here, and that really is before the range was fairly established. I mean, you could look back and say, perhaps it was. You got this kind of bottom here. Either way, this on the right could be looked at as a deviation from the range, unless you really feel that strongly that this is your range. But I'm going with this right here. Looks a lot better. So as price approaches 2032, I would be looking for a short, right? And the best time to take a long would be as price is coming to 2020. So just bopping around until it doesn't. Which way will it go? Let's take a look. I'm gonna put some crazy stuff up on the screen, and man, it is kind of tough to say which way it'll go. It's very tough right now. I would almost not try to guess. I would almost not. I mean, up is my guess. If somebody had to say like, "Hey, I'm going to shoot you unless you tell me what you think's going to happen," then I would say I think it'll pop to the upside. It'll come out of this area and go up and maybe approach 2057. It would make a lot of sense based on, based on the, like I say, the geopolitical landscape. There's a lot of, there's just a lot going on, man. It's, you got Israel, you got the Red Sea, you have Ukraine winding down, it seems. A lot of the chatter out there, like you'll never hear anybody in the West say, "Oh, Ukraine is lost." Those words won't probably ever come out of anybody's mouth in the media. But Russia's got their winter offensive and blah 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 blah, right? So I think Ukraine is actually winding down because the word is that there's no more money from the U.S. Like they're trying to say, "Hey, the Pentagon's got no more money for Ukraine." Who knows what kind of horse trading happens? We have an election year, we have this, we have that, but I think Taiwan is one that they always have in the background as something like some trump card they can flip to try to push things into crazy mode. I don't think it's really wise, though. I think that would be very destructive. We got the gorilla in the house. What's up, brother? Gorilla.
Hi! I heard you were talking about the victory of Vladimir Zelensky, greatest president ever. He's our modern Winston Churchill. He's just an all-around cool guy.
Winston Zedmore.
Do you know that reference? Going on geopolitically, folks. A lot. And right now we are in that phase of world history where everything is event-driven. And these markets are going to get tossed around based upon what is happening globally. And oftentimes these markets are also predictors of what will happen globally. So it's a double entendre, if you would say.
Double entendre?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see. I'm going to tell everybody in Rogue that you're in here. And that way we can maybe bring some people into the YouTube. The YouTubes! Okay. Yeah, so we're just looking at gold. And I think if anything, look, it's really hard to say which way it's going to go when it comes out of this consolidation. But if I had to guess, if somebody put a gun to my head and say make a choice, I'd say to the upside. That's just what it looks like. But the high time frame, it actually wants to take a break and go down. So I think it would probably go up, test, say 2060, and then maybe go back down after that. It depends what happens at that time. If the move up is strong enough, then then that's that, right? So let's take a quick look at a couple things. All right. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Let's look at that in the charts. Yeah, dude, I was so tired. I didn't know what day it was, man. So yeah, this is pretty much what I talked about.
It feels like a Thursday.
It kind of, I was thinking it feels like a Wednesday or Thursday for sure. I called this out. This move down. I did say that, I might look for a short, but I think it was asleep when it happened, or not trading either way. Yeah, this happened right at, like, I was already in bed when this perfect little pop-up happened. I wanted to take a short after this broke, closed, popped up, and then came back down. So the perfect entry happened as I was asleep. I got like 3 hours of sleep the night before for a long, I got kids and stuff, so sometimes that happens. But this would have been my trade that I called out right here, and I'd be in profit. But unfortunately, I was sleeping, and I don't have algos built for this yet. Not for this kind of trade. So, but there it is. That's a beautiful trade had I gotten into it, but I did not. But it's the one I said would happen. And anybody who's watching these shows can just go back and look at that. We got Possible World. Thanks for coming on, my friend. Appreciate that.
It's so beautiful.
That would sound like a Cartman. It's so beautiful.
That's perfect, dude.
Yeah, lots of Cartman practice.
Yeah, I never let a woman talk to me like that. I say, bitch, you don't talk to me like that. I'll slap you in the face.
Car.
Yes, car. Come on, car.
And then and then the bus driver yells at him.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Hey, nothing, ma'am. I didn't say anything, ma'am.
All right, so yeah, bearish. Bitcoin is ready for its retracement. So to look at Bitcoin on the daily, let's do the whole thing of carving.
To look at Bitcoin on the daily, we're going to make sure it's going to fall down into this range, and it's going to bounce around just a little bit right about here. Or it's going to fall into this lower range right about down there.
Yeah, everybody's going to take it real seriously if I do that. I do think that there's a decent possibility that if price drops down into this, like, say, between 35,800 and 38,000, if it does make its way into this, I do think before it does that, it could sort of play around in this area and then make it down. That is possible, or it could go straight down. Right now, the look is pretty bearish, and I know that there's some fair amount of liquidity down here. In fact, we'll go ahead and take a look at the liquidity. It did reach up and grab it. Never let me say that properly. It never reached up and grabbed this. Remember how I told you all that even though there's liquidity up here, the charts have to favor a move in that direction for that liquidity to be grabbed, right? And it just simply didn't happen. The charts favored a move down. It grabbed this liquidity and now has moved forward. So we're going to take a look at the liquidity landscape here, liquidity profile, and we're going to see. I guarantee you it's changed since yesterday. It's not the same. This right here, though, this Kingfisher, it's like having like second sight. It's like having ESP in the markets. We don't get this in like stocks. We don't get anything like this in Forex. I mean, unless you want to pay $20,000 or $25,000 a month for a Bloomberg terminal, you won't be able to get data like this. Kingfisher actually gives away the liquidity profile for free. That little wheel you just saw spinning, that just gives you credits. To the downside, the next area is 38,050, And there's not much. It's all very scant, but 38,050 is like the next area. And then the next kind of larger liquidity node, it's at 31.8 and 32.6. So 31.8 and 32.6. Let me broaden this out, make it easier to see for everybody. So 31.8, that's way down here. Let's go like this. So 31.8, right about here, and 32.6, which is pretty much where that is. There's not a whole lot of liquidity down there, right? And there just isn't that much on the way. What was that little tiny piece that was close by? That was 38.50. So downside targets right now are going to be like 38.50 is like right here. Yeah, I'd say price could easily make its way down to like right here, right now. I mean, there's not a whole lot of R on the way there, right? I mean, there's not a whole lot of like area to make money on this trade, at least on this daily time frame. But I do think those who are scalping might be able to take advantage of that. I think that it's pretty, it's risky to try to short this right now. You're shorting into, I'm not going to short this. I'm going to wait, but we'll see what happens on the daily again, back to the daily chart. So each one of these candles is a day's worth of price action. I do think that it's going to grab this, maybe come back up, and I think it'll be faster than what I drew. I think it'll come back up like this. A little bit of a bearish retest, grab liquidity from this area, maybe even go as high as this, but I think it'll go to here. It's Bitcoin. It could easily go higher. And then I think we see the real move down. Now, will it go further and go down to these lower levels that I drew, this way down here? It's possible. That's very possible. But then again, Bitcoin's like super bullish right now. In fact, there's an article. Let me bring this article up. I'm gonna do a video on this later, but I'll talk about it now. So there was a massive sell-off, and look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like news, I'm like 50%. Like it doesn't matter. The charts really tell you what you need to know. Whenever you see a big sell-off, whenever I just saw your private message there, V. That's funny. Whenever you see like a big sell-off, half the time it was like more than half, it's like 99 or 100% of the time that sell-off is going to happen anyway, right? Like the charts just called for a sell-off, but the ETF was a bit unique. That, you know, and as V said earlier, a lot of markets are event driven right now, and the ETF was. I kept saying it was going to be a sell the news event, and at least on the short term, that is true. At least on the short term, that's true. So what I mean by that is like, okay, so the ETF happened, price went down. Does it mean it's going to continue down? I don't know. It's really tough. I know the charts want it to go all down pretty far. Like the charts want crypto to head down a fair amount. Like I would not, if it was just up to the charts, I'd be looking at low 20s, high teens, like a complete retracement from what's happened. But what's different is that this happened far later than usual in the 4-year cycle. And the 4-year cycle doesn't have a lot of data. So if I was just going by charts, I'd be looking at low 20s, but we're in an environment where it might just get bought up. It might not be allowed. You might not get your entries if you're waiting for that. And it would not surprise me one bit for price just to range around for a while and not go all the way down there and then eventually start heading up for the halving. So, but this sell-off that happened could be explained, at least in part, by FTX selling about $1 billion of Grayscale Bitcoin ETF. And like I said, I'll do a little show on this later, something that, you know, for like mass consumption, not a lot of people can have the wherewithal to listen to the live show, but you know, the live show is going to be more for you know, your real heads out there, the algo artisans, those who want to really make some money trading. But if you just kind of like news, I'll put this out there later. And so we all know who FTX is. We all know about scam, Bankman fraud. And one of the things that happened was how many client billions of dollars did they lose, V? Was it like 4 billion that they lost to client funds?
Man, it was much more than that.
Was it more than that?
Yeah, it was more than that. I forgot exactly.
I think it was like 8 billion, and then they got like 4 billion from Binance, right? Was that what I think that's what it was?
Something like that. I can't recollect at the moment.
I think I want to say they lost 8 billion in client funds, and then they got 4 billion back from Binance, if I'm not mistaken. in that recent lawsuit with CZ. So look, here's the thing about it. When you have FTX is in trouble, and they had enough GBTC shares to where they could liquidate and get themselves $1 billion, and because I think there's still a few billion in the hole, and so GBTC Grayscale BTC was a company that it was kind of what would you call that? It's not an exchange ETF, but I don't even know what you call that. It's a trust. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is what it was. And so it's a company that would buy Bitcoin, and then you would buy pieces of that company, right? And so it operated at a premium and a discount. So when Bitcoin was really low, Grayscale was actually cheaper congruently, right? Proportionately cheaper. And then when Bitcoin went up really high, Grayscale would get proportionally expensive, which is called a premium, right? And it would hit par halfway through. Par being like, the gains that you got from Grayscale were about the same as you would get from Bitcoin if you bought now. And it's I don't want to get too complex in it, but when the ETF happened, a lot of people sold off their Grayscale because Grayscale was at a premium. Grayscale and the gains that they got from holding Grayscale at a low kind of level, those gains were at a premium, meaning that they made more money from Grayscale than if they would have just owning Bitcoin. So they sold their Grayscale when the ETF happened. They wanted to take profit on that premium, that extra money that they made. And then a lot of them, I bet you a lot of people went and bought Bitcoin, or they're waiting for Bitcoin to go down and then buy it. And that's why I think that these billions of dollars that got sold out, billions out of Grayscale, I think that I think those would probably go back into the Bitcoin market whenever the smart money thinks it's time to do that. And the smart money might do that at a price that we're going to talk about in the private live lab. We're not going to talk about that here. But I will say, though, FTX sold about $1 billion of Grayscale's Bitcoin ETF. Now, what does that mean? So now this is Grayscale's ETF, right? Not the Grayscale GBTC Trust, but the actual ETF. So this is explaining a lot of the outflow from the ETF because people saw the ETF outflows and got a little bit concerned. Bitcoin's price has fallen since Bitcoin ETFs were approved. In theory, now that FTX is done selling its substantial holdings, the selling pressure could ease since a bankruptcy estate liquidating holdings is a relatively unique event, right? So what they're saying is that this is kind of a one-time thing. Or, is there another company with that much in the ETF that needs to liquidate? Like, that's not that we know of. So they're trying to say that the push down is done. The ETF outflow is complete. Investors have sold more than $2 billion worth of Grayscale Trust, GPTC, as I was talking about earlier, since it was converted into an exchange-traded fund earlier this month. Okay, so again, these are people who are selling their GBTC position after it was converted into the ETF, right? So they didn't sell it before. They waited till the ETF was created, and FTX is part of that. And about half of that money came from FTX, and that's why they're saying that. Look, when you GBTC owned all that Bitcoin. And when people went to go redeem their GBTC that's now an ETF, when people went to go sell their position at Grayscale, Grayscale had to sell Bitcoin to give them their money, right? So liquidating Bitcoin, if you're doing it at a place like Coinbase, and I know Willy Woo was saying that the addresses are like the definite Grayscale address went to a suspected Coinbase address to sell. So it's not like they did it OTC. It's not like they did it quietly. They took it to an exchange and sold it there. That's what the suspicion is. And that's going to put downward pressure on price. And that's why we're seeing the price go down as strong as it is, according to this article. Now, I personally think that was going to happen regardless. I think that was just going to be something that was going to wash out after the ETF news came. And then, of course, price would rise up later. That's just what the charts were calling for, really. But then again, that's only because, I don't know, you start to get into a weird, complex conversation about the charts. But I will say that here, while the new funds, this is right out of the article, while the new funds issued by the likes of BlackRock and Fidelity have seen inflows, billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin have been pulled out of GBTC. So what they're trying to say is that the bleeding is more or less stopping. FTX has liquidated, and that should pretty much be the end of it, right? Well, we'll see about it. We'll see. I think there's actually more. I don't know if it's going to cause outflow, but I do think there's going to be a compression in Bitcoin price that will go beyond this story that may or may not be true about outflow. So I think we'll see Bitcoin possibly grab some liquidity, possibly. The charts have to call for a move up, and right now there is no call for a move up in the charts. Right now, it just wants to go down. So we'll see about it. We had enough time to talk about that story, talk about Bitcoin charts. I didn't even look at the comments. Let's see what's going on in there. No questions. Let's see about our private group. No questions in there. Quiet show. All right. Gorilla, sir, can you give us any of your thoughts and then give us that send off so we can go into the private group?
Yeah, listen, guys. Listen, here's the deal. Don't sit on the sidelines waiting for 2024 to go by. Stop being a spectator and a masturbator when it comes to just world events and money. Don't just sit there and jerk off. All I'm saying
is that the guy that, like, when you're on a fishing ship, he's like the guy that's the best at putting the bait on the hook, the masturbator?
Yeah, he's the master baiter. That's what he is.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
do
what we're
that.
talking
Join us today, algofactory.tech. Make a positive impact on your bottom line. And with that being said, Cowboy, take us away.